Show how the mastering process works so that for the young producer, the young person out there buying records who might not understand the whole process. Yeah, they got the record, but they don't understand what goes through the process. So you receive a finished article from a producer and he says, do your magic.
Yes, I mean basically a mastering engineer is the first person to hear something other than the people that have been working on it since its inception. So we don't know all the backstory, we don't know all the history, we don't know all the trouble and strife that's gone on. Just put the track up and just listen to the performance. And the advantage that we have is that a lot of people record in different studios or on different locations, so they don't get used to how a particular setup sounds, whereas I only work in this room, so I can then make a judgment as things come in as to whether I think it sounds okay, and if it doesn't, what I think needs to be done. This is a acoustically corrected room, and we spend a lot of money at making sure that it is, so we're in a good position to make a critical judgment. And then 30 odd years experience. I started at a studio called Trident, and at the time we had a contract for doing vinyl for all the international releases of WEA. Vinyl was the predominant release format back then. So while I was learning my craft, I was cutting vinyl for Madonna, Prince, Rod Stewart, anything that was coming out on WEA at the time. So I did all of the Madonna singles up to and including La Isla Bonita and the first two albums. And in those days we used to cut 5 sets of lacquers that would go off to 5 different factories so they could bring enough stock up.
So one would go to Germany, one would go to America, one would go to France, and that's how we end up with those albums with multi-releases from different territories.
And also there were, you know, quite a few pressing plants in the UK back then. A lot of those don't exist now. A fair percentage of being a mastering engineer is knowing when to leave something alone, because you get something that comes in and it sounds fine, and so it's just kind of having the guts to sit there and go, actually, do you know what, I don't need to do anything to this. at a very basic level, just by looking at the waveform, you can see that the audio is quieter than the track that precedes it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, initially there is a gain. There's a gain issue, but also the track is considerably more dynamic. So just because the file looks quieter and sounds quieter,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean to say that there aren't peaks in there that are at the max. I did was to get the EQ selected, and just as an act of putting the EQ in, you get a certain amount of gain anyway. So looking at the EQ, there is absolutely nothing at the top end, not doing anything at the top end. The highest that I'm doing anything is 800 Hertz, which is sort of on his vocal, the bottom end of his vocal, and then it's all bits below that. So I've tried to make his vocal sound a bit bigger. I've gone in a bit lower to get the very bottom end of his vocal, and also to make the guitar sound a bit richer. And then in the same way as you get air at the top end, so you can put an EQ in just to create ambience, some atmosphere at the top end. I've done a similar sort of thing, but at the bottom end, just to get all the bits and bobs that only happen once in a blue moon in the track, but to just get those and keep those in context, and relative to the rest of the bottom end of the track. So that's what this needed.
I put my arm around her and told her